The Quagsire Say Switch answered by Giratina. Even the Shadow variant of Giratina easily tanks a Stone Edge. Rigo instantly no shields. The opponent gonna farm up, go for the Aqua Tail bait. Giratina shrugs off that pitiful damage and full sends the return. Does the opponent respect the damage? Welcome back to the channel. Shadow Giratina is all the hype in the Great League. Numerous people have asked me, am I going to showcase it on my channel? Whilst the answer to that question is yes, today is not that day. We're showcasing something even rarer and near impossible to obtain. A purified Great League eligible Giratina. If you're wondering how to obtain this Pokemon, get yourself on Reddit and have a look at the search thread. Holy moly, you have to jump through some immense hoops to make this even possible. If you look on the graphic on the left hand side, you might be wondering, why is it just Giratina? Well, because Rigo, today's featured battler, is showcasing numerous other purified Pokemon. Every single Pokemon and every single team is going to be a triple return theme team. I always like to pride myself on bringing unique Pokemon Go PvP content, usually revolving around Shadow Pokemon. However, as every other content creator beat me to Giratina, for one day only, today it's the home of purified Pokemon. With all that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And getting us underway in battle number 1, we've got the purified Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death, of course, running a return. The opponent save switches into for Alligator, and here comes Servine. We see Rigo instantly deploy the Protect Shield, hoping to block up an Ice Beam. The opponent go for the Hydro Cannon bait. Servine, undeterred, going to return fire with that Leaf Tornado. Leaf Tornado forces our Protect Shield back and also forces a very annoying double debuff on the opponent's attack. Rigo dares the Angry Alligator to full send an Ice Beam, but nah, that is yet another Hydro Cannon bait that does pitiful damage. Rigo going to go all in the Grass Snake. Finally, the opponent sends the Ice Beam, but it just bounces off the Protect Shield. Back out comes Gligar. Rigo going to full send the return, rocks Gligar. The opponent looks for the Fury Cutter farm down. The little Grass Snake says no, reach the Leaf Tornado. Leaf Tornado isn't lethal, but does debuff them and forces the opponent to dump their energy. Servine almost removing 2 Pokemon from the field of play. We send back out Talonflame. Out comes Lantern. Come on, Rigo. Get to that return. No. Come on, opponent. You fully wall us. We could have at least landed a return. Unfortunately, it's not meant to be. Giratina finally hits the field of play. The silly electric fish is fully walled. What are they going to do when Giratina is coming for you? Giratina fires off the return. Return. Monstrous damage. What the heck are they going to throw at us? Thunderbolt? Nah, that doesn't cut it. The opponent recognises they simply cannot win the game and they concede the match. In the next battle, we see Diggersby interestingly opting for no Scorching Sands, instead Fire Punch and return. On a serious note today, if you do want to purify some Pokemon, I think both Diggersby and Dusclops are 2 of the better ones, as a return does give you some nice neutral coverage into quite a lot of things. I personally have a purified Dusclops built from way back in the day. I used to run it in the Sylph metas. A shout out Sylph, you are truly missed. I'm yapping away and we missed the return land on Primate, holy. As Rigo isn't running Scorching Sands, he actually opts to send out Giratina, because Giratina can at least hit for neutral a lot quicker than Diggersby could, as we would have to full send a return. The opponent opts to stay in, they throw the side shot, Giratina shrugs off the damage, fires off said return. Return removes Ninetales from the field of play. What is going on today? It was the bulky blue mouse in the back. Despite the opponent having 2 shields, they don't want that work and they concede the match. In the next battle, Azumarill gets his chance at redemption. Rigo happy to stay in, farms up, looks to catch the Ice Beam onto Dusclops. If you're wondering what elo today's battles are played at, believe it or not, they are at just over 3,000. When Rigo hit Legend, these are the teams he used to try and claim his Pikachu Libre. Our Dusclops save switch is answered by Giratina. Rigo was able to land the Ice Punch. He deploys a Protect Shield, correctly shielding up the Shadow Sneak. He looks to fire off 1 Hex and the next Ice Punch, but Giratina is able to outpace. Rigo goes all in on Dusclops, fires off 1 Hex and the Ice Punch. If the opponent shield once, they'll be forced to shield twice. With that in mind, the opponent concedes switch advantage and more than happy to take their 2-0 shield advantage. Out comes Scissor, unfortunately Rigo unable to get off his energy. Scissor then retreats as the opponent tries to catch a Fire Punch onto Azumarill. Catch attempt unsuccessful and Azumarill gets rocked with that stab return. Rigo then sends out Giratina and we get a first look at just how bulky the purified version is. Oh my days, that play rough did not do much damage. Rigo farms the return, goes for the double resisted Dragon Claw bait. No! The opponent definitely looking to 2-shield Scizor. Rigo fires off yet another Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw isn't lethal. Back out comes Sizzle. And I think this is just a loss. I think the opponent's just going to go for Night Slash Spam. To be honest, I think our Diggersby is very quickly going to find itself in Trailblaze range. Rigo fires off the Fire Punch, which of course is going to go shielded. The bullet punches tearing through Diggersby's HP. The opponent now at said Trailblaze. Trailblaze does pick up the one-hit KO, and that one does end in heartbreaking defeat. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we see Diggersby into Dust Noir. Rigo gonna farm up. I thought we were gonna go for the Dynamic Punch catch onto Dusclops. That would have been amazing. Unfortunately, Diggersby ends up tanking the Dynamic Punch, and we see Giratina hit the field of play. Out comes Wigglytuff. Return gonna hit for neutral, but unfortunately isn't going to enable us to flip this mid-game matchup, as of course the Shadow Claws are double resisted by their sub-normal typing. Rigo does at least reach the departing Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw also goes unshielded, but does put Wigglytuff in a range where even a Fire Punch should pick up the knockout. Rigo wastes no time, fires off that Fire Punch. Fire Punch, doesn't get the job done. Diggersby loses almost all its HP, and Dusclops is now tasked with doing the heavy lifting. What the heck can we be? We're going to struggle to even remove Dust Noir from the field of play. Out comes Wallface, and on this moveset, that is certainly something we will not be beaten. Ice Punch going to be resisted. It still resists Ice. Oh man, the return's double resisted as both Rock and Steel resist normal. I guess Rigo just going to YOLO the return anyway. For some style points, return does absolutely nothing. We pivot back into Thickersby. Once again, going to YOLO yet another return, because why bloody not? Return again does absolutely nothing. We get the moral points, forcing a Protect Shield when the opponent really had nothing to fear. Of course, this game's completely over, but Rigo like, hang on Jamie Finn, buddy. I'm going to YOLO one more return. Return again does absolutely nothing. We get fully smacked down, farmed down, and essentially get completely destroyed. Heading into the next battle. Deep breath, pull yourself together. We see Diggersby into the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. This is definitely a matchup where return will be nice, as if the opponent thinks we've got Scorching Sands and Fire Punch. They don't know we've got the ability to hit for a lot of neutral damage. Return. What a boring bastard. Go shielded. Oh, excuse the French. We then safe switch into Dusclops. Dusclops gets rocked with the Brave Bird. The opponent sends out Gastrodon. Rigo looks to return the favour, quite literally YOLOing a return. Return, decent damage, rocking Gastrodon below the half health range. Rigo sends out Giratina. We've now got a decision to make. Are they going to Body Slam into Earth Power, or will they Full Send? Oh, who double resisted Body Slam baits a Ghost? Oh, that's brutal. Earth Power does over half Giratina's health. Giratina looks for the Shadow Claw farm down. The opponent not wishing to concede a farm down. Send out Talonflame. Rigo this time able to land the return. Get that Talonflame off my screen. Return nukes landing left, right and centre. Out comes Primate. Giratina committing to yet another return. Looking to force the final Protect Shield of the game. Return does exactly that. We then farm up and able to catch what should be the Shadow Punch onto Diggersby. Whilst the catch is nice, we are not going to appreciate these boosted Karate Chops. Rigo settles for the Fire Punch. Fire Punch won't be lethal, but does put Primate into the red health range. Primate gets a massive farm down. Giratina re-enters the arena. We need that Shadow Claw to knock out, because if not, they're going to reach the double. Unfortunately, the Shadow Claw doesn't get the job done. The opponent able to reach the next Rage Fist and take that game. GG's that opponent. Heading into the next battle. We've got Purified Diggersby into Clodsire. The opponent pivots into Cradilly, and here comes Giratina. Rigo, please don't return a rock type. Please just throw Dragon Claws. On a more serious note, this Purified Giratina is so thick that Rock Tomb did absolutely nothing to look so easily survivable. The downside of Purified Giratina is whilst we're very bulky, we don't really output too much damage, and now we are double debuffed. This Dragon Claw not going to do much of anything. Giratina undeterred, going to fire off yet another Dragon Claw, but the opponent still don't need to shield. Dragon Claw goes unshielded, putting Cradilly into the red health range. Cradilly going to look to remove Giratina from the field of play just before the next Dragon Claw is reached. Rock Tomb does exactly that. We now send out Diggersby. Diggersby, no, Rigo, don't try and play CMP with Cradilly. Diggersby essentially wins no CMP ties. In Rigo's defense there, we got one turn bring in, hence we threw 4 quick attacks into 3 bullet seas, and it ended up being CMP. So rather than call Rigo a potato, I guess we can just blame poor game state. Out comes Furret. Furret greeted with the return. Return does massive damage. Rigo looks to reach the fire punch. The opponent looked to deny us, firing off the Swift. Rigo going to invest the protection. It's actually a Trailblaze, vamping up their attack, which certainly isn't going to be great for our Dusclops in the back. Fire punch forced the protection. We're forced to pivot out into Dusclops. Despite the opponent being in the red health range, Rigo not going to be able to double resisted Hex farm down and going to be forced to dump energy. Rigo wastes no time, fires off the Ice Punch, force to protect shield. Oh man, this is so painful to watch. This red health Furret is going to absolutely delete all of Dusclops' HP. Rigo doesn't even reach another Ice Punch. We're able to Simul KO, but Clodsire at full health in the back, and that one also ends in heartbreaking defeat. After Rigo taking that very brutal ass whipping, we've got a change of team as Talonflame in his purified form is tasked with leading the line. We see Shadow Giratina in the lead. The opponent fire off the Dragon Claw. Rigo looks to return fire with the Fly. Fly does so much damage. We then pivot into our own Giratina and attempt to snipe down with some Shadow Claws. Snipe attempt unsuccessful. The opponent fire off the Dragon Claw and then pivot out into Scizor. Unfortunately for us, we're fully walled here and I highly doubt we force a shield, as you're not really going to shield Scizor when they've already seen Talonflame. The first Dragon Claw, despite being resisted, did decent damage. The second one, to my surprise, does force a protect shield. Oh boy, trainer, you're in one Incinerate range. Rigo recognises that. No Scizor is doubled up on charge moves, but they're only going to get off one. So we can shield up the Night Slash and deny the remainder of the energy with that Incinerate sneak. Talonflame leaves low on energy. Out comes Diggersby. I'm not actually sure Return's more energy efficient than Fly, but we're going to YOLO it anyway. Rigo able to land said Return. We then bank the Fly, pivot into Servine. Come on, trainer, concede the match. They recognise they're not going to be able to get through Servine. They do concede the match, and we return to winning ways. GG's, and thanks for playing. What the heck is this on my screen? A purified level 50 Sandshrew. Oh my gosh, this is even more spicy. A purified Dwibble. What the heck is Dwibble's role in this meta? I'll be honest, I have absolutely no idea, but at least next season SmackDown is getting buffed, so perhaps Rigo's just ahead of his time. SmackDown generates energy so slowly, but Rigo's finally able to reach the return. Return! Oh! Doesn't knock out. Oh, Dwibble, you let me down there, buddy. Rigo actually double shields in the mid-game matchup. Just to keep that alignment, of course. We want to keep our Sandslash onto that jump bluff. Oh boy. Maybe we don't. Aura Wheel almost picks up the one-hit KO. This Morpeko with two shields is just going to sweep the back line. Rigo goes to the Night Slash bait. Oh, we know that no bait is ever saving Rigo's fate. The opponent able to Thundershock farm us down. Giratina going to make a very brief cameo appearance. Surely we don't survive a Dark-type Aura Wheel. Nope, we don't. And that one is going to end in defeat. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, Rigo looks to stick to his winning formula. The Talonflame, I think, it's actually undefeated to this point in the video. Don't quote me on that, but it's at least won more battles than some of the other random stuff we've ran. Although the Firebird of Death's win streak might come to an end as we found ourselves a huge problem in the form of Drapion. Drapion heavily outpaces Talonflames and super effective Aqua Tail. Giratina doesn't want the work, and Servine's also pretty awful here too. Rigo, two shields of Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death, fires off back-to-back flies, forcing both protect shields before eventually pivoting out into Servine. Servine not going to appreciate this Shadow Crunch, but it's essentially dead weight. As you know, the Araquanid will be hitting the field of play. Right on cue, back out comes the big pesky spider. We fire off the Leaf Tornado, unfortunately not getting the very annoying attack drop. Servine undeterred, going to flip that coin again, show us the attack drop. Bang, very nice. The unfortunate thing for us is Giratina about to fall victim of probably about 26 attack drops, as the opponent could just keep spamming out Bubble Beam after Bubble Beam. There's the first one. The second one's already queued up, and Giratina's non-existent attack stat is about to be, I don't know, probably about as effective as a Zoomer or Bastiodon. Very, very pathetic. I'm bracing myself for this Dragon Claw double debuffed. It doesn't do much of anything. The opponent pivots out into Diggersby. We're able to reset that debuff, and Talonflame hits the field of play. The opponent fire off the Scorching Sands. Talonflame just about hangs on. Rigo commits the return, and that could be a mistake, as unfortunately we get quick attack farm down. Giratina, though, able to land the return, putting Diggersby below the half health range. I think if we got off the fly, perhaps we'd have a chance of winning this game, but I think like this, it's just too much heavy lifting for Giratina. Hold. The opponent tries to catch a return onto the spider. Rigo holds his energy. Surely Rigo can't pull this off. Surely not. Giratina gonna fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw finally removes the spider from the field of play. Ah, they got the bloody move bank the whole time. Scorching Sands easily picks up the knockout, and that one again does end in heartbreaking defeat. In the next battle, Sandshrew gets his chance at redemption, and we're off to a good start as we stare down Galarian Moltres. The opponent save switch into Quagsire, and here comes Giratina. Even the Shadow variant does tank a Stone Edge reasonably well. Rigo instantly no shield. The opponent go for the Aqua Tail bait. Giratina laughs at that pitiful damage and full sends the return. Return able to land, picking up the clean one-hit KO. The unfortunate thing for us is this Moltres is going to get a massive farm down, although Rigo has other ideas. He's like, you might be farming me down, but not before yet another returns reach. Return! Unfortunately, goes shielded. Most Moltres run a full flyer moveset in the Great League. No payback, so we should fully wall the energy. The opponent fire off the Brave Bird. Let's be honest, that didn't look all that resisted. Despite the opponent harshly lowering their own defense, they continue to stay in, so the question now becomes, what the heck is in the back? Oh god, Marowak. What the heck is Dwibble going to do here? Not a fat lot is the honest answer. What is our win con? I guess the opponent not respecting Dwibble's return. Rigo not messing around, just going to YOLO it. Does the opponent respect the damage? They don't, but it doesn't even knock out. Oh wait, maybe that's better for us, as I've still got a shield. We need to reach 2 moves against that Moltres. The opponent go for the undercharge. We end up simul KOing. Rigo just going to YOLO the return. Please call the bait. Please call the bait. Bang! There it is. Shout out the GOAT Oxford U for that quote. I thought it was going to be a loss, but somehow Rigo gets the job done. GG's. In the next battle, Sandshrew returns to action in what should be a type advantage matchup. If they've got overheat, we're going to get one shot. Rigo respects it. And of course, you get Brutal Swing baited. The opponent pivots into Lapras. Lapras gets greeted with the return. Return, big damage, and here comes Dwibble. Dwibble is hitting for super effective with these smackdowns, but a Sparkle Aria also going to be super effective and probably going to do a lot. Dwibble, to my surprise, hangs on. I don't dislike this play here. You might be wondering, why did Rigo not fire off an Exorcism and look to knock him out? Well, we can't really concede farm to that Weezing down a protection, as both Giratina and Sandshrew have plenty to fear. We've already seen Brutal Swing that, of course, would hit for super effective. We don't know the second move. Out comes Toad Scroll. We fire off the Night Slash, force a protection. We pivot into Giratina, baiting Glare and Weezing back into the arena. We've already seen Giratina in its purified form, insanely bulky, able to withstand 1 Brutal Swing, potentially even 2. The second one leaves on fractional HP. We hang on, full send the return. Return, able to land. Giratina is a Glare and Weezing counter confirmed, but in reality, I think this is still a loss, as Sandshrew just doesn't have the health. This is almost certainly going to be a wrap as well, which is going to lower our defense. I mean, I don't think we're going to reach back-to-back Night Slashes. Rigo looks to reach the second. The first one forced to protect shield. We actually get outpaced. We was able to survive the Mud Slap damage, but even a resisted Wrap or Seed Bomb, Bad Manners, is giving enough for the opponent to emerge victorious. GG's. In the next battle, we have found ourselves a problem, and its name is Greninja. Certainly what Talonflame isn't looking to see. We pivot into our hard counter of Servine. The opponent does us a huge favour staying in, taking a hell of a lot of Vine Whip damage. This is above 3000 elos. The only logical explanation for why they're staying in is they are so incredibly weak to grass. In this current season, season 23, to be fair, grass wasn't really a real thing. There was not too many grass types that had a lot of play. You can see the opponent was very weak to grass. As I send out the Dene, of course, Electric is resisted by grass. We shield up the Parabolic Charge, full send the return, even with a +1 defense does a lot of damage. The opponent isn't going to be able to farm us down. The opponent recognises that, fire off the Parabolic Charge and look to remove Servine from the field of play. Out comes Giratina. Giratina will be looking for the Shadow Claw farm down before the play roughs reach. The opponent settle for the Parabolic Charge. That isn't going to do much of anything. Giratina's bulk is actually ridiculous. I think if more people get Purified Giratina, this thing's really going to be a headache in the Great League. A case in point on why I think it'd be a headache is not only is it insanely bulky, look how much that return does in neutral situations. Near one shot in Marowak. Speaking of one shots, Talonflame gets one shot by the rock side. Rigo putting all his hopes and dreams on Giratina, but I think this is a near impossible task. We're going to have to tank the first Night Slash in case they get the boost. No boost is required as the Night Slash removes us from the field of play. Heading into the next battle. Sandshrew returns to action and Rigo is the algorithm confirmed. A commanding lead. Jumpluff double weak to ice, the opponent's A switch into Marowak, and here comes Giratina. Looks like Rigo has hit the Dragon Claw, losing CMP. He's not baited much in the video, but recognises the opponent is likely to try and flip that god-awful opening matchup. Dragon Claw forces the Protect Shield. Rigo gonna match Protect Shield, and now it is time to YOLO that return. It's coming. The question is, does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Return picks up yet another victim, and we maintain alignment. Giratina still not done. Gonna reach the departing Dragon Claw. That won't do too much damage, but all chip damage is welcome, as we haven't got any ice type moves on our Sandshrew other than the Powder Snow quick move. We send Sandshrew back into the arena. The opponent pivots out into Lapras, and here comes Dwibble. You'd think this is a good matchup, but we've seen previously the Sparkle Aria almost one-shots Rigo. Just go for the X-Scissor, bro. Don't commit to the return. He's just going to settle for the X-Scissor, knowing that any chip damage is going to be welcome. X-Scissor forces the Protect Shield. The opponent going to look to dump energy. As long as the return lands on its intended target, we should be good here. Well, I guess we just want to return everything, to be honest. Rigo, unfortunately, is going to get outpaced. Please tell me we're not going to be in acrobatics range. Oh my god, we certainly are. Back out comes Jumpluff. They definitely survived this, right? Oh, Sandshrew Dwibble. How do you get a win with this core at 3000 elo? It looks like the answer to that question is you don't, as that one also ends in defeat. Heading into the next battle, you know the drill. Sandshrew loses, and we task Talonflame with doing the heavy lifting and returning us to winning ways. Rigo sees the dream lead. As we stare down Sizzle, the opponent's A switch into Talonflame. They YOLO the Brave Bird, which we caught on Giratina. Giratina fires off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw picks up the knockout. Back out comes Sizzle. Sizzle going to look for the full Bullet Punch farm down. As long as we land one Dragon Claw, like we've seen previously, they will be in one Incinerate range. The opponent very smartly transfer the Incinerate onto Greninja, where it is resisted, but the Fly certainly is not. Fly forces the first Protect Shield. Rigo banks the next Fly and makes a back-breaking catch onto Servine. The opponent actually full sent the Hydro Cannon as well, recognising the game is now unwinnable. They're going to concede the match, and Rigo is going to end the video with a big fat dub. GG's, and thanks for playing. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's shoutcast of a near impossible. I'm going to say near impossible. If you want a purified Giratina, head over to Reddit and you can see just how hard it is to obtain. A huge thank you goes out to one of my oldest Pogo friends, Rigo. Thank you very much for the submission, buddy. He spent quite literally millions of Stardust powering up numerous Pokemon return just to bring us this entertainment. My thoughts on the purified version of Giratina. Let's be honest, I think this thing is an absolute monster. I'm actually unsure currently if it's eligible for play Pokemon. I'm almost certain it'll get banned, because if not, anyone with access to it, in my humble opinion, is going to have a massive advantage over the competition. Bearing in mind next season, Dragon Breath is getting reworked, potentially to a Psywave clone, and that is just going to make this purified Giratina a headache. It'll be reaching them returns at a very alarming rate. Let me know down below if you're going to go through the effort to get yourself a purified Giratina. And if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to a battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.